Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for your Friday Foundation Fix, where you can get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests. And today I'm checking out the very much requested and brand new L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear foundation. This claims up to 24 hours of wear, retails for $14.99, comes in 30 different shades, of which I have two. I've got the lightest shade number 400 Porcelain, and then I've got the third lightest shade 410 Ivory. I think I'm probably going to be more along the 410 line, but I got the lightest one just to swatch it for you guys in case you were curious. Let's take a look at some of the claims of this foundation. I am on Ulta's website right now. It is currently getting 4.25 stars out of 5 with 66 reviews. You get 1 fluid ounce of product for the $14.99 retail price, and this does have SPF 25. I looked through the ingredients. I do not see any added fragrance. We will see if there's any discernible scent. My nose is a bad judge of character when it comes to that, but I will try to tell you if I notice anything. They say, be unstoppable, introducing L'Oreal's breakthrough longwear foundation with breathable skin technology. Infallible Fresh Wear 24-hour foundation provides medium to full buildable coverage that lasts all day and allows the skin to breathe. The formula's 3 oil absorbers resist sweat, water, and transfer. Sounds like that is transfer resistant. The ultra thin liquid goes on smoothly to give a fresh, healthy looking complexion that lasts. Color stays true. That sounds like no oxidation to me. Blends in evenly so your makeup looks fresh all day. Non-comedogenic, formulated with SPF. Suitable for all skin types. 30 shades for every skin tone. Claims to be waterproof. I'm not going to test that. We are not dunking this face into a bowl of water. Remember when that was all the rage? Not going to go there with that. So let's take a look at these two shades swatched against some others in my collection. Alrighty, let's swatch. First up is today's foundation, the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear 24-hour foundation in the lightest shade Porcelain, number 400. The second swatch is also the Fresh Wear in shade 410, the third lightest shade Ivory. Third swatch is the L'Oreal Infallible ProGlow in shade 201 Classic Ivory. Fourth, I've got the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation in Shell Ivory. And last is the Milani Conceal and Perfect in shade 00A Porcelain. I am starting out with a 44-year-old face with some sun damage I like to cover up, fine lines, deeper smile lines. I do have enlarged pores that like to give me trouble. I've got dry skin this time of year, and I've been rolling pretty heavy on the retinols, so I do have some flaking areas, especially right here and on my upper lip, and I'm getting some flaking over here, so we've got, some stuff to throw at this foundation today. I've already done my cleanse, moisturize, and sunscreened my face. I will go in on one side with a sponge. This is the EcoTools Total Perfecting Blender, and on the other side I'll use a brush. This is the Sigma F80. We'll see if I have a preference or if it performs better one way or the other. Packaging is a nice glass bottle with a pump. We know I love me a pump. Let's see what we get. I have primed with the L'Oreal Infallible Glow Lock, one of my favorite drugstore primers. This does seem to have a slight perfumey scent to it, not overpowering, but I noticed it. This is an interesting formula to blend out because it seems like it starts out as a nice, smooth, glowy kind of a texture and dries fairly quickly down to a sort of matte. And with the sponge, at least, initially it seems to be drying onto every dry patch. So this could just be a function of using a damp sponge. It does seem to cancel out redness. On one pass, I would call this fairly light coverage. I'm getting some redness cancellation, but some still very clearly poking through. Let's try the brush side. I do like the finish a bit better with the brush, although coverage is a little bit patchy. I've got a little bit of product left. I would like to sort of try to get this patchiness avoided. That built nicely. I'm going to take what's left and try to get a little more coverage on my sunspots here. Where I'm blending it in to the previous foundation, it sort of doesn't want to layer. It's kind of sinking into my pores only on those overlapping parts. This claims to be buildable, but I feel like you have to work really, really, really fast, because once it sets down to this sort of almost powder matte finish, it doesn't want liquid product on top of it, which also makes me question whether you could use cream products on top of this, or whether that's going to give you the same kind of trouble that I'm having with the underlayer blending with the overlayer. It doesn't seem to want to be touched. If you go back in after it's already set, it starts to look sort of patchy. It's really clinging to all of my flaking skin under my chin here. Definitely clinging to the texture in between my eyebrows. Let's just zoom in and take a look at this. It's kind of accentuating the fine lines around my mouth. Instead of blurring over my fine lines, it's separating and not blurring over them, which makes them appear more obvious. I feel like in some areas it is minimizing pores, but in others it is almost sinking into them, and the areas where it looks like it's sinking in are the areas where I tried to build up more coverage. So I don't really think it builds very nicely. It's doing not much in terms of texture. I can still see all of the texture on my cheeks. It's a little cakey around my nostrils. It's definitely cakey between my eyebrows. Forehead looks okay, although the product is sort of sitting on top of the skin in a couple spots, but overall, it looks a little heavy and a little bit cakey. I don't think I'm going to have to set this with powder though, because it does sort of set down into a powder finish of its own. So let's take a check of the time. It is 1:55 p.m. I'm going to put the rest of my face on. I'll be right back. Okay, I was just shooting the thumbnail image for this video, and it's hard to make myself look happy because I am mega dry and cakey looking right now. I'm not a fan, you guys. It looks really heavy, and it's just really clingy, cakey, dry, flaky. Flaky as in like powder flaking, not even my skin flaking. I'm not liking this finish. Let's talk product blending. When I applied concealer over this, I'm wearing the Conceal and Define from Makeup Revolution. Any place I put the wet concealer product over the seam of the foundation underneath was literally wiping away. I had started out using the sponge, and so then I applied some more concealer and tried to pat it in with the brush. That worked a little bit better, but the foundation underneath just wanted to move whenever it came in contact with another liquid, and I think it has to do with kind of the sort of powder-ish texture that this dries down to. So concealer blending was a hassle. I think it ended up okay, but I had trouble with it. In terms of other powders blending in on top, I did not have trouble with them blending, but again, I do feel like what ended up happening was the foundation underneath moved around. I almost feel like this looks like straight up bronzer on my skin, instead of it being bronzer on top of the foundation. It's hard to describe. Can you guys, do you see how that is? It's not that it's not blended, it's just that the product underneath seems to be gone. So the products I was using, the bronzer is L'Oreal True Match Lumi, highlight is Wet n Wild Zodiac in Air, and the blush is Pearlescent Pink from Wet n Wild. So products I am super familiar with and work very well for me. So, I mean, I think it ending up in a decently nice, okay place, but I had some issues getting here. The rest of my face, my eyes, are the C Color Cosmetics Unisex 3 palette. This is a dupe for the Jeffree Star Androgyny. I did film this eye look. Would you like to see it? Should I edit it and post it? Let me know down below because I did film it. And my lip is Pat McGrath love you, Pat, in Unfaithful. So that is where we are starting out. I am not super happy with how things are going on my face right now, but I will come back with a daylight check-in in a bit, and I'll be back at the end of the night with my final thoughts. Hey guys, daylight check-in here. It's been about 4 hours, and in terms of color match, which is one of the reasons I do this in daylight, I think this is a very good color match for me. Can you see my breath? It's freezing out here. But color match is great. I'm not feeling any different in general about the overall finish. It looks dry on me. It looks cakey in a lot of spots. I'm not having any significant wear yet, and I have not noticed any transfer. I feel like I can touch it and it does not move. So those claims seem to be holding up, but it's like super clingy to the dry patches on my neck, and it's really, really clingy and heavy and cakey and sitting on top of the skin like it was earlier. At a conversational distance, you might not notice that, so it might be okay that way. It is feeling a little bit dry, like it's not a moisturizing formula or a hydrating formula at all. 4 hours in, for it to feel kind of tight like this is probably not a good sign, but that's where we're at about 4 hours. I don't like it really any more than I did before, but it is a pretty good color match for me. So there you have it. I'll come back at the end of the night tonight, let you guys know my final thoughts. 9:24 p.m. We are just past the 7.5 hour mark, and I'm just gonna call this one here because this is really uncomfortable and I want to wash my face. I think longevity is not a problem. I think it's holding up fine. 24 hours, yeah, no way. It's already starting to wear off my chin, but you know, this is, for a long wear foundation, this is about where I would expect it to be approaching the 8-hour mark, so it's pretty fine. But in terms of how it wears, if you've got dry skin, this is feeling, my skin is tight and itchy, and I want to get this off my face. So I didn't really like it to begin with, so we're just going to cut this one off right here. Now, let's look in close and see what we've got going on. The chin area is pretty much just starting to break apart. The thing I most dislike is the accentuation of all of my lines. I can see my smile lines very prominently. My Meredith gray wrinkles are out to play. This really does no favors for smoothing over wrinkles. It did not settle into my smaller lines, like my forehead lines, my smile lines, but it did settle into my deepest chin line. So if you have more significant wrinkles, this might be a product that settles on you. It's starting to wear off around my nostrils. It's clinging to a little dry patch I've got on the side of my nose. Cakey and bunching up on the texture between my eyebrows. Forehead still looks okay, no settling there. Blush, bronzer, highlight are still intact. I am starting to see my crow's feet wrinkles, which are generally not visible if my skin is feeling hydrated. Once it gets dehydrated, they start to be visible. So that's kind of the overall nutshell here. I think in terms of the feel and the finish, I would not call this fresh wear. I think by the name, I was expecting something that looked a little more natural. To me, this looks a little bit dry and a little bit flat. It's got more of a matte finish than what I would think would be a fresh finish, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with a matte finish. I enjoy a good matte finish, but this particular one, even though they claim it is suitable for all skin types, I should have known when it said the sentence about oil-absorbing ingredients that it was going to absorb every ounce of moisture out of my face, and that's what it feels like it did. So if you are someone with dry skin, I do not think this is going to work. If you are someone with mature skin, it's a maybe if you don't mind the accentuated look of fine lines. It did not settle into them, but if you have deeper wrinkles, I think that's going to be a settling problem with this particular foundation. So if I had to give a grade to the Infallible 24-hour wear fresh wear foundation, it's not unwearable. I think at a conversational distance it's okay. I'm probably never going to reach for it again. I will try it a couple more times, as I do with any foundation that does not perform very well in its review, just to make sure I can't get it to work better. But if I had to give a grade, I'm just going D. It's like a 63 D. Just not great. Just not great. These are grades for mature and dry skin, so it's just not great. It's not something I'm going to see myself reaching for in the future. There you have it. Another Friday foundation fix is in the books. If you enjoy foundation reviews, give me a thumbs up down below. Please leave comments with suggestions of foundations you would like to see me review. I keep a running list and I pick them up whenever I can. You can check my website, geekoutofwater.com. Click the Foundation Fest link. You will see a ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet of all of my foundation reviews and all the data that goes along with them. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for new videos, and I appreciate your time. I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.